Welcome to Get It Together with Grandy, the podcast.
This is a podcast for people who don't have it all together. I'm a 20-something-year-old girl who for my entire life has been trying to become the best version of myself and fulfill my potential. But I honestly just feel like a big mess. I know I can't be the only one who feels like this, so I'm starting this podcast so I can share my journey and what I'm learning along the way so we can finally get it together. I'll see you on Monday for our weekly episodes.
Hi, my name is Grandy and you're listening to or watching Get It Together with Grandy, my brand new podcast. The reason behind this podcast is because I have been trying to get my life together for many years now. I have been trying to become the best version of myself. I've been trying to become that girl. Yeah, it's actually 2024, so I just don't want another year to go by for me to be in the exact same spot as I was in last year and the year before. And also I know that I'm not the only one who feels this way, so I took it upon myself to start this podcast so that we can go on this journey of getting our lives together. So with this podcast, I hope to create a space where you can come as you are, but also not leave the same. I want to create a space where you're not going to feel judged, but you're going to be inspired, you're going to experience growth, but also we're going to have fun along the way. If you've ever seen me online, you'll know that I'm a fashion and beauty girl, but I'm also so passionate about just trying to be the best version of ourselves, trying to become the person who we want to be. So yeah, that is pretty much what my podcast is going to be about. I'm so excited to be in my podcast era. I am somebody who is obsessed with podcasts. I have been consuming podcasts for so many years. I want to be that person who's like, I used to be into podcasts before they were popular, but that is me right now. I actually did. And yeah, I have been wanting to start one for so many years. So as it's 2024, I just thought, what better time than now? So yeah, because this is episode 1, I just think it would make so much sense to talk about starting. I just think there is so much power in starting that thing that you just feel in your heart that you should be doing but you just haven't. I feel like I can definitely relate to anyone who has that feeling, so that's what I want to talk about today. I feel like it's probably one of the most commonly asked questions to like successful people who are doing amazing in their field. I feel like whenever they have Q&As, whenever they have panels, there's always someone in the crowd who's like, I have a dream to do what you're doing, but how do I start? And I just feel like there are a few reasons that have like prevented us from starting that thing. And yeah, I want to talk about some of those things that hold us back. I feel like one of the biggest things that actually hold us back from starting is comparing your day 1 to someone's day 1000. I feel like with so many of us, like whenever we have that thing that we want to start, we will look at people who are doing amazing at the thing that we want to do, whether it's, start a brand or start a YouTube channel, start a business, start going to church, start writing a book. We look at people who look like they're smashing it in that field. You just feel inadequate in comparison, and it can honestly be debilitating. So 1,000 days is roughly just under 3 years. So when I was thinking about that analogy, right, a picture came into my head and I just imagined like a newborn baby who'd just been born, right? Like fresh out the womb, fresh out the uterus, just literally opening their eyes, experiencing earth for the first time, crying, completely dependent on their mother, not being able to eat by themselves, not being able to literally hold their heads up. Like fresh babies can't even hold their own heads up. You have to literally, like, when you're holding them, support their heads, because if you don't, their head will literally like bounce back, right? So imagine that fresh newborn baby looking at a 3-year-old child and being like, oh my gosh, that 3-year-old is doing amazing. She can eat and drink by herself, she can talk, she can actually communicate with her parents. So I'm just like literally trying to picture a newborn baby looking at a 3-year-old and thinking, oh my gosh, like I will never be able to be as good as them. Like look at how amazing they are at it. And then the 3-year-old will literally look at them and be like, I was where you were once. Like that was me too at a time. But I've lived life. I've experienced things. I've literally learned how to walk, learned how to talk. I've been potty trained. I've been on the earth for 3 years compared to your day one. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, it literally makes no sense comparing where you are to somebody who's been doing it, who's been working at that thing, who's spent time, energy, effort, who's probably sacrificed a bunch of stuff, invested into themselves, who's done all these things to get to where they are. Comparing them to you who's just starting out, it's like, it actually is illogical. It doesn't make any sense. And I feel like this analogy can literally be applied to every single thing in life. Like, let's say you're starting at the gym. I have been trying with all my might to start working out, right? And it's like, sometimes I, scroll on the gram, I see these fitness girlies, they've got a bench. They've got a bench that you can rest a drink on. Their waist is snatched. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, look how amazing they are. Look at their bodies. It's snatched. How will I ever look like that? That kind of train of thought can make you literally debilitated, and it can literally make you not even want to start, because you're comparing their 4, 5, 6 years of hard graft to you day one. Of course you can't run like they can. Of course, like, you're following their workout routine, but you're not keeping up. Of course you're not keeping up. They've been doing this for years. So I feel like we need to give ourselves that grace and be like, if it's our day one and we can't do what they're doing, of course we can't. Like, why should we be able to? I feel like it will be literally against the laws of human nature. And also, another thing that could be really practical, let's say you have someone that you aspire to be like, and they're absolutely killing it. Something practical could be to scroll and look at how they were when they started. It will allow you to see, like, oh, when they started they didn't look like that, or when they started their setup wasn't that professional, or when they started, I don't know, let's say you have a dream author, you might realize now they're selling books all across the world, but you will realize, oh, their first book that they sold only sold like 10 copies. I actually know someone, he has a crazy successful clothing brand, and I spoke to him, and at this point he had many employees. They're literally making millions of sales, also winning awards for how well their business is doing. I spoke to this business owner around the 5-year mark of the business, and I remember asking him, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, how do you feel that your business is 5 years old and it's doing this amazing? Like, did you feel like this was going to happen when you started it 5 years ago? He was like, to be honest, I didn't even see this. I just started this business in a spare room in my mom's house. I think he said a few months went by before he even had 2 sales, and now this business is they make more than 2 sales a second. They make thousands of sales a day. So he was like, yeah, I just can't believe that is where I started and this is where I am now. Having these conversations with people who have made something successful, knowing that, oh, when they started, it didn't look like this. They weren't in this huge office, everything wasn't all fancy, everything wasn't all cute. I think it's really, really eye-opening. And obviously that day I was able to actually speak to that business owner, but that is the beauty of the internet, guys. We literally have YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all of the things. Even if you go on your favorite YouTuber, you can filter the videos from oldest to newest. Clicking that literally lets you see the very first video they posted. So with a lot of these people who are your faves, their first video looks nothing like how it looks now. So yeah, you have to remember that. I think another thing that is huge when it comes to holding us back from starting is waiting for the perfect time. Waiting for that perfect day to start that thing. And guys, I'm sorry to break it to you, but there's never going to be a perfect time. If we have the mindset of waiting for the perfect time, we will never have that perfect time. Because I feel like in every stage of life that we're in, there is always a reason not to start. For example, let's say you have a dream, right? And you're a student and you're like, do you know what? I can't start this dream now because I've got exams, I've got to focus on uni, I'm broke, okay? And because of that, I can't start. And it's like, do you know what? All those reasons are valid. So then you wait until you graduate, right? And then when you graduate, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a graduate. I can't start now because I need to find a job. I didn't spend all that time in uni to now not have a job. And I'm also living in my mom's house and she wants me to contribute to rent. So I need to hustle and get myself a job. I'm going to park this idea for now because I can't start. Okay, cool. That is another valid reason. Now you are in your 20s, you're thriving, you're in your corporate era, but also your weekends are actually spent socializing and, living your best 20s life, because guys, you only live once, and these are our years to live our best lives, enjoy, travel, also trying to balance like friendships, relationships, work, then you're saving for a house. Of course now you can't start. Then, guys, you get married and you have kids. You want to just focus on being safe and not taking risks, because you don't want your children to struggle and you need to keep a roof over your head. Again, guys, a perfect reason not to start. The next thing is that, you're now 60 years old and you just feel like the reason why you can't start now is because you're just too old to start. And again, someone will say that that is a valid reason. So I feel like if we actually look at life, like, we will realize that there is actually never a perfect time. And yeah, I feel like the beauty of the world that we live in today, we're able to see examples of so many people who've literally like started so much amazing things despite so much adversity. So it's kind of like, whilst these reasons are valid, like, people have done it despite those circumstances. There's so many people in my head who started when they were broke. They started when they were a student and had thousands of exams that they had to manage to do. They started when they were single moms. They did it. And I feel like kind of seeing examples of these people and like researching these people who've done these things can kind of give us, encouragement that, do you know what, despite how I'm feeling, despite the fact that I feel like, every single thing is against me right now, I can do it, because the people that have done it, they don't have two heads. They're normal human beings who live on planet Earth that we also live on. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think the final thing that we need to stop doing is literally getting analysis paralysis. This is basically when you have something and you just start researching, attending events and attending courses and looking at YouTube, looking at TikToks, looking at Instagrams, all around this thing, to the point where you get so overwhelmed, you have so many mixed messages, you have like too much information to the point where you can't even do one thing because you have just overdone it. A lot of the times I feel like when we are doing all this research, doing all this analysis before we start, I feel like it feels productive. Like, it feels like we're doing the right thing, because we're like, I'm doing research, which is, getting me closer to reaching my goal. I'm just buying this course because it's going to give me all the information that I need before I start this thing. But if I'm truly honest, I really think that a lot of the time it's just a procrastination tool. Like, all this research, all this course buying, all this conference attending, you are procrastinating from actually starting the thing. It can be so tricky because doing the research and attending the events sometimes can make you feel like you are actually starting, and it can actually make you feel that you are actually getting closer to the goal. But I have found it personally in my own life that a lot of the times I will buy the course, I will do this, but what does it actually amount to? Nothing. And I feel like a lot of the times as well, like, we can put off starting because we feel like we don't have enough information or we don't know enough about doing it. But you have to realize that there's only so much that a course can actually teach you. There's only so much that a podcast episode or a YouTube video can actually teach you. Like, I hold my hands up because I am someone who was an avid course buyer. Like, literally, guys, I have bought so many courses in my life. Like, it's actually quite sickening. I feel like I'm really a consumer. So when I see something and someone is a good salesperson, guys, I would just buy the course. So for example, in the past, I have bought a podcast course. I have actually bought a course on how to start a podcast. But guys, did it actually help me start this podcast? No. I couldn't remember when I bought it, right? So I scrolled on my phone and I found it. And currently we're in 2024, but I bought the course in 2021. So how much do you think that course helped me? It helped me absolutely not at all. Like, I'm actually so embarrassed to admit it that I actually spent money. I spent my hard-earned money on this thing because I was like, that is the one thing that I need to start my podcast. Like, that is gonna be it. That's gonna give me all the answers I need. But guys, it didn't. Like, it actually didn't give me the answers. The what I actually just needed to do was put a camera on and put a mic on and record. So I feel like sometimes you need to stop with the analysis, stop with the research, and just start, guys, because a lot of times you are just gonna figure it out along the way. And because I'm a content creator, I've even had people come up to me and ask me, oh, so I want to be a content creator, I want to do what you do, how do I get started? And I just look at them like, girl, it's 2024. I'm pretty sure you know the steps on how to get started on being a content creator. I feel like me saying to you like, oh, post consistently, or find something that you're interested in, and find people's content that you like and do a unique spin on it, like all these things, I know for a fact you've heard them before, but I feel like sometimes we feel like, oh, it's just because we don't have the answers, but really it's the fear, it's the actual fear that's holding you back. Not that you don't actually know the steps, because if we're honest, it's 2024, we know the steps, we know the things that we need to do. I feel like a lot of the times it's the fear that's holding you back, and you're just trying to like blame it on every other thing, blame it on this, blame it on that, but really it's because we're scared. Do you know what I mean? And like being scared is very, very real. Like having the fear of starting something because people are going to judge you, or you're not going to be successful at it, or what if it's just a big flop. All of these fears are so valid. I feel like sometimes we do have to just sit and think, and it's like, what am I more scared of? Am I more scared of people like thinking I'm weird, people judging me, or am I more afraid of like not achieving my dreams and just looking back one day and saying, what if? Like that is so scary to me. Like that, honestly, I just find that so scary. Like just one day looking back and being like, what if I started? And not knowing what could have happened, because what if your dreams come true? And I feel like it's all about framing as well, because you can have that fear and allow that fear to take over and be like, oh my gosh, what if my friends judge me, what if this? But it's like, on the flip side, what if the thing is a massive success? What if your dreams come true because of this thing that you've started? What if your life literally changes 360 degrees because of this thing that you've started? What if then? Like, what if? Like, if we're going to play the what if game, let's also look at the what ifs of if we have a positive outcome. And I hope that, you know, framing it that way would give us that encouragement that, you know what, we have to just feel the fear and do it anyway. Because what if it turns out amazing? But yeah, guys, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. I could go on and on. But yeah, guys, I do want to end this episode with a little bit of homework. If anything that I said today stood out to you, if anything that I said to you just resonated and you have that thing that you haven't yet started, I just want you to like take a little bit of time and just make a little actionable plan of what can I actually get started on. With what I have right now available to me. I'm pretty sure that at the position that you're at now, there are some steps that you can take to get started. So that is what I want you to do. I want you to get a plan together and get just like a few steps, because sometimes we don't need this whole elaborate, like, guys, I'm shooting this podcast literally in my house on my sofa, because I just realized that making this podcast is humongous thing of like, I need to have a studio, I need to have a professional this, a professional that, and I need to have an editor, and I need to have this, and all of those things was just making me not start. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to make this as simple as possible, and I'm going to do this on my sofa. What do you have available to you that you can use to get started now? So yeah, guys, there is honestly so much power in starting. I've now started, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you guys. Let's get it together. Each week we're going to be talking about something different that's going to help us get our lives together. So comment down below if anything that I said stood out to you, if it resonated, if it made you feel a type of way, if it made you feel attacked, then comment down below. Little teaser for next week. Like I said, I feel like there's so much power in starting. So next week I'm going to be having a special guest, somebody who has launched her business literally 4 months ago now, and her life has changed forever. If you're somebody who's been wanting to start a brand, wanting to start a business, wanting to start something new, this is literally going to be such an amazing episode for you to learn from, because this person who I'm getting on the episode is somebody who's literally doing it. She's doing the things that we've talked about in this episode, and yeah, I'm so excited that she's actually my sister. She launched her brand, Asante Studios, literally like 4 months ago, guys, and the brand has taken off. So hearing from her is going to be so amazing for us. We should get all the encouragement and all the inspo that we need to to get started on our dreams. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye.